Joseph Holmes, how you doing, man? It's been a long
Hey,
time.
yeah, I'm doing great. How are you?
Well, I'm not the one that got the UFC contract, so you must be doing better here.
Oh yeah, I'm on cloud nine, bro.
Yeah, I had to get the elephant out of the room because that was the big thing. But since like last we talked in March, I think we were kind of discussing about UFC kind of being on the horizon, chasing greatness. And at that time, did you kind of know like the UFC was around the corner, or do you feel like you needed more fights? Obviously, because you had four more fights after. But do you know that it was kind of on the horizon?
I had a feeling. I had a talk with my manager Jason House one time, and he was just like, "Dude, UFC, it's just a matter of when. It's not." He's like, "All you got to do is keep doing what you're doing, and it's just a matter of time." So after he said that to me, I was just very confident that if I just keep on keeping on, then it was going to be right around the corner. I had no doubt about getting into the UFC.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you're here now, and without after having four more wins after that being very impressive. I mean, I don't see why they couldn't sign you. Um, but since March, I mean, you've been on a tear, and most of your fights are ending in round one, round two. I mean, what's like where's the confidence lie from anyway?
I guess it comes from like everything I've been going through to train. Like I've been traveling to Kansas City, Missouri. Like it's an 8 hour drive at least. My girlfriend's doing the driving. I'm like in the back seat. She'll make a pallet for me in the back seat of our car. And I'm just like trying to get some sleep in to get to training early in the morning. Dude, we would leave in the middle of the night. Like she'll work over the weekend. We'll leave like Sunday night and get there literally by like 9:35. And I gotta train at 10. So, I'm exhausted, but I'm still just like training and grinding. Like it's literally from everything I've like had to go through just to get this high level training that I need and be around these bodies like, Julian Marquez's and Grant Dawson's and, Kraus even, just to be around these guys who are going to push me and help me grow. And I feel like that's why I feel so confident, just because there's no way any opponent that they're bringing to me is going through what I'm going through to train.
Yeah, and in two things. I mean, as much as a lot of fighters talk about things that you have to go through, it is a serious thing, and it might sound like a cliche, but it really is real. And I think that when you experience things like that, it really makes you not just a stronger person, but a stronger fighter mentally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, I was out for my last camp. I was in Kansas City for 10 days, so 2 weeks. We drove back for the weekend because my girlfriend had to work and then turned around and went back. I caught a nasty cold, like nasty. Like I couldn't eat solids. My throat was swollen, like all that. And I'm literally still like going to training, just putting a mask on, just training during being like practically dying. Like it was insane. I thought I had COVID. I took a COVID test, it was negative, but like it was so bad, man. And but to still continue to train, like yeah, I don't feel like anybody could beat me.
And second, I mean, like the fact that I mean, like to be a fighter and to have a relationship with someone, or having a family, I think you have to really have a strong spouse with you to go through with you on that. I mean, she must sound great. I mean, to be able to travel with you and stick with you through everything. I mean, she's a keeper.
Oh, she's definitely a keeper, dude. Because cutting weight ain't easy. I don't know if you've ever cut weight, but you catch attitudes.
A little
You
bit.
blame you blame other people for stuff. You're like complaining about everything, and she does really well. She stays calm and she understands, and she'll be like, hey, you're catching an attitude. I get you're cutting weight, but hey, check yourself. So no, she's great, man. I'm very blessed and fortunate.
And moving on, like when you got that call of the Contender series, what was your first initial reaction?
I was actually in Kansas City at the time, and we were at her aunt's house, my girlfriend's aunt, because they live in somewhere out there, like 30 minutes from the gym. And I was literally just getting home from training. I was filling up a cup of water, and I get a call from my management. They're like, "Hey, can you make 185 in like however long? I think it was like 3 weeks or 2 weeks." And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." They're like, "Okay, well, you're gonna be on Contender." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And I just like, my girl's like, "What, what, what?" And I'm like, I'm just like dropping to my knees. Like I couldn't say a word. I'm just like shocked. Like we just got the call, like, oh my God, it was finally, we just got that call. And I told her, and she's like, what? She starts calling people, telling all her closest people. And I'm just like, man, this is insane, the call. So it was just shocking. It was surreal. It was insane. Like, this is the UFC call? Like, wow.
And as far as I know, you've never fought in Las Vegas, correct?
Never. I've never even been to Las Vegas.
Like I would think that some fighters would consider that like a check off their bucket list. Was that something that was like something that you could check off your list as well?
Oh, absolutely. I've always wanted to go to Vegas. I never went to Vegas. Although that time when I went to Vegas, it wasn't that great. We had to quarantine. I spent like 7 days in quarantine. My family came out. I didn't get to spend any time with them. And all we got was after the fight was over to spend time with our family. But our flight was like 6 a.m. in the morning. And the fights ended at like some really late time. It was like 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. So we really did not have much time to spend together in Vegas. So I really didn't even get to enjoy Vegas, but it was still amazing to be in Vegas. And I got to hit the strip a little bit too.
And when you were there, did you get a chance to use the UFC PI at all?
The only time I got to use it was PI. No, I didn't even get to use the PI. We used the Apex, and
Oh,
it was just for like media scrum stuff and stuff like that. We didn't even, but the media was intense. Like you would think the media would just be, like fake sweat and just kind of like moving around and doing stuff. No, dude, they actually had us like working out, like really going hard. You know what I mean? Like really working out. And I was pretty shocked about that. But
I mean, and that being said, with having that kind of media, I know you fought, under like LFA and Bellator, Fury, but have you had that much media in your face?
bless you. No, I don't think so. Because even my girlfriend was like, when we were watching the fight, they had a camera guy right in our face the entire fight. And I was like, why? And she's just like, I don't know. And I was like, wow, I don't know either. But no, never. They even had a camera person like sent to my room while I was getting my hair braided before the fight. So there's like camera people in my room, this chick like braiding, like dreading and braiding my hair. And then they had like another camera person on the walk down from the room to the shuttle. Yeah, UFC does not play.
Yeah, and I think that's how they get all those behind the behind the like the
The
like
scene stuff.
behind the scenes shots where I know like a lot of times when they're doing promos, for example, like the last UFC card, like they might show the guys at home with their family or whatever, and that's kind of why they have those cameras there, right? So I
Yeah.
guess like you kind of have to, if you get signed to the UFC, you have to expect to just have to deal with that. And I mean, they're doing their job, you're doing yours, so it's win-win.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I don't have a problem with media at all. I enjoy talking with people, journalists and fans of the sport.
And earlier we were talking like you said that you've been able to go and travel to Kansas City and train over there with those guys. Um, like now that you're in the UFC, would you ever consider going to UFC PI and trying that out?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's going to be part of my paperwork to tell me what type of privileges I have with those.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, as soon as I can find out how, or like how often I can do stuff like that, yeah, I would. I'm definitely the type of guy that takes advantages of all the free shit we get. So I can't wait to find out what I get for free.
Awesome. And talking about going back, talking about the Contender series. I mean, obviously, you beat Shante Barnes, and in round two. I mean, it was pretty damn good fight, but you did get the contract. So obviously, you were planning on fighting at Fury not too long after. So what was your first reaction? Did you kind of accept it? Or were you still upset? Like, what was your mindset?
My initial reaction was a little bummed out just because I had never really intended on going backwards. Like I was in LFA, I was in Bellator, then LFA. And then once I got to LFA, I really like once I signed that 3-fight deal with LFA, I never really wanted to go like backwards. Like to me, Fury was backwards just because it ain't LFA. You know, it ain't like
Right.
UFC or so. Yeah, I was a little bummed out at first, just like, Fury, but Fury ended up being great. Eric was awesome. And then plus I made more money than I've made in any other fight I've been in so far. So I guess it didn't feel backwards after the fight was over and I got paid and saw my check and stuff like that. So no, I mean it's just what it took for me to get to where I am. Like all of this is I feel like it's destiny for me and like no matter what happens now, like it's all gonna lead me to where I'm supposed to be, which is fighting Israel Adesanya. So I'm just excited, man. I'm just ready to train and get ready and just fight some sickos, you know what I mean? Just yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I do want to kind of get to that towards the end. But when you had your last fight at Fury FC 53 against Patty, I mean, was there extra pressure on you knowing that, hey, okay, I didn't get the contract to the Contender Series, but maybe if I get this one here, this will lead me into that contract?
Well, Dana had already promised me if I win that fight, I get the
Okay.
contract. So I didn't feel any added pressure because of that. I did feel a little pressure because I had knew the opponent prior and I had trained with him when I was an amateur and he was already a professional. So I felt a little added pressure, like, okay, am I good enough for this guy? Like I had to stop and like think about, how our training would go at the time. I'm like, okay, he had my number on the striking a lot of the times. And, I learned a lot from him that I use today. So definitely I felt the pressure from that. Like, like, is he going to be real tough? But then I'm like, I've been training a lot and I've been training with some people, like a lot of good fighters, like fighters that people don't really get the privilege to train with all the time.
Mhm.
Like Carl Baby Robertson. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you know him. He's in the UFC. He knocked out the freaking heavyweight champ with elbows off the cage, and I trained with him, so no, I mean, like once I kind of like talked with Krause because Krause was real busy too during the camp. Once I kind of got to have my talk with Krause and he was telling me, his predictions and, what he felt, how he felt I was going to win. No, I was good. Did
Oh yeah, you just kind
I?
of cut out there. You're talking about Kraus and giving his thoughts.
Oh yeah. Once I finally got to pick Krause's brain about the fight because he was real busy. He was in Dublin, Ireland with Gallagher the week before my fight, and then the week before that he was somewhere else for another fight. So I didn't get a lot of time with him. But once I did, he definitely helped me clear my mind and get the confidence I needed.
Now, obviously, you got to sign the UFC contract, but after your fight at Fury at 53, did Dana ever come and talk to you? Was he there at the show?
You kind of broke up at the end. You said, "Did I get to talk with Dana?"
Yeah, yeah. Like at the end of like once your fight ended, was Dana at the show and did he talk to you after about everything?
Yeah, no, actually, after the fight, they pull us to this side room with like a black curtain, and they called us in one by one, me and my teammate Trey Ogden, who also got a contract that day. Yeah, and they pulled us back there, and it was super sketchy. Imagine like a big warehouse room, like a big empty room, and the lighting isn't very great, but there's just like a bunch of people with cameras and like security guards, Dean Thomas, Matt Sarah's back there. Like, so they called me back there, and yeah, I just walked straight up. Dana's like, he's like, Holmes, get over here. And I walk over there, everybody's like clapping and stuff. Excuse me. And I'm like, I just walk up to him, kind of like a kid. Like I felt like a kid, like getting called up. I don't know, just like I just felt like a kid, like, okay, Dana, Mr. White, and um he was just like, it's like, man, he's like, I can't even remember exactly what he said. He's just like, man, like you did it, and just keep going. He's just like, oh, he's like, you came back from a nasty nut shot or a nasty kick to the groin and came back and with an excellent knockout, man. Welcome to the UFC. And I was just like, just shook, like, let's go.
Yeah, that just must be like such a surreal moment. Like that okay, if he said, okay, well, if you win the next fight, you get the contract, but when it actually happens, it kind of really becomes real.
Yeah, yeah. And honestly, it still hasn't totally become real. It's still like, are they sure? Are they gonna change their mind in a minute?
Of course, of course. And now that you signed the dotted line, has Dana like talked to you like an idea of when he wants you in there, or is it just like your manager will contact you when you get a fight, or
Well, I actually haven't signed yet.
oh, okay.
I haven't received the paperwork. I'm pretty sure they're yeah, I reached out to my manager the very next day because I was super anxious. And they're like, yeah, we're drafting up all the paperwork now. And I was like asking, like, oh, so when am I getting verified on Twitter and Instagram? And when do I get my blue check? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like, as soon as we sign all the paperwork, brother, that's gonna be part of it. And I was like, awesome. Yeah, let's do this.
Sorry, yeah, no, I didn't know that you actually signed the paperwork. But now that like looking at the 185 division there, assuming that's where you're going to be fighting, like how excited are you just looking at that division, all those guys that you could potentially fight in the future?
Oh man, I got so excited. I literally was looking at the roster the same night. And I'm going through the roster, going through all these numbers, and I seen some more dangerous guys in the 30s than I did in the 20s. I'm over here like sending people off the 20s list to my coaches, like, hey, I want to fight him or him. You know what I mean? I think those would be good fights for me. Um, and yeah, no, that it looks like the people on the roster look incredibly dangerous, but it definitely fits my picture there. You know what I mean? Like I definitely look like they do too.
Well, and the thing is too, Dan brought it up about your height and the size that you possess at 185. And if you look a lot at some of those guys at 185, they're just more short. They're short, but they're just beefed out. But you and Adesanya kind of have the same kind of look. If anything, he might be a little bit more like longer, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So you talked about that. Hopefully, you fight Adesanya one day. I mean, that would be the ideal. That would be the dream matchup for you.
Well, if he keeps his belt, absolutely, I'll be fighting him. I will be getting the belt. I will get the belt. So as long as he still has it, we'll fight.
And with the size that you have, would there like is there a possibility you could ever go up to light heavyweight, or is 185 your size or your weight?
Well, I've definitely mastered 185 now. My last camp, I mastered it. I was below weight the night before. I was I was 10 pounds out of weight 2 weeks before the fight, so I got to eat all the way up until weigh-in day. So I've definitely mastered my weight cut. So I'll most likely stay at 185 for a good amount of time, get the belt, and maybe if I end up having one of those long runs like some of these older people are doing, I'll move up to light heavyweight. But I kind of like my body in a more lean state. I feel a lot quicker and a lot more powerful than when I like bulk up. I feel a lot slower and sluggish. So I definitely probably will stay away from light heavyweight in the UFC.
And I mean, looking at you, I mean, you look pretty unscathed. I mean, you look pretty good, other than a nut shot. But
The worst of all time.
I mean, I don't think there's any. I don't think if I got in a fight, I think getting cuts to your face are just cuts and they hurt. But I think the number one shot that no man can stand up from is a nut shot. There's no other shot that
Yeah,
if that was considered, everybody would be knocked out.
right. Yeah, no, I'm very happy that the ref saw it and didn't think I got hit in the gut, you know what I mean, and dropped because it was terrible. I've never got hit like that before. It wasn't even the nuts. That's all I'll say. But it was horrible. It was worse than the Nets.
Of course, of course. And how so other part of my question on there is, so because you for the most part you're looking pretty good, how quick do you want to get back in there?
I would love to get December off and get in there somewhere mid-January or early February. That's definitely what I would prefer. I want to spend the holidays with my family and my kids. Plus, I've been extremely active this year. Um, so yeah, I definitely want to take December off, but unfortunately, I probably could not turn down a fight if they offered me something short notice. So I'm really hoping they don't.
Excellent. It's like getting called into work, and it's like, yeah, I could take the hours, but I'd rather not.
I'd rather not. I'd rather stay home and play video games. Yeah, yeah.
In talking about the video games, I know you're big on Warzone. Did you get the new Call of Duty at all?
Yeah, I did. I got the new Vanguard. I'm waiting on Pacific to drop the new Warzone map, dropping here in like 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, super duper excited.
And what's your first? What would be your first reaction with the game, the gameplay, or the the story mode? What were your thoughts?
I haven't touched the story mode yet. I plan to actually because I've heard good things. I've only played the multiplayer and it was actually decent. Like I was actually happy about it. I haven't played much multiplayer in a while. I normally just play Warzone or something like that, but it's actually really good. The movement's good. They added some different features that Call of Duty hasn't had in a while, like peeking around things, and different things. But no, I'm very happy with the game. I'm also really excited about what they're gonna add into the new Warzone map, considering they have different functions in Vanguard that they do not have in Modern Warfare. So yeah, I'm very happy with the game, and excited to play it on stream.
Well, the whole idea of you doing all your streams and doing stuff on Twitch, I think you need to get Max Holloway in there and be like, hey, let's go.
I agree. Now that I'm in the UFC, I think that we can work that out too.
Well, and I know like sometimes with the UFC they do stuff. I know they promote a lot for their UFC 4 game. I think they need to get Ugly Man Joe in there and just like say, hey, we need someone to play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna have fun marketing me just because I'm very different. My name is incredibly different. And I doubt they've seen a guy like me. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be the only one in the UFC with my mustache. I've been kind of looking around. I think there's one guy, but I don't know if he's in the UFC. But I'm very excited. I feel like they're gonna have a marketing like rally off of me once I get in there.
Well, you know what, Joseph, I'm glad to hear that you're excited about everything. I wish nothing but the best for you in the UFC. Welcome to the UFC. And man, it's always a pleasure having you on here to chat with, and we'll talk to you again soon, man.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much, Kelly. You got your shirt too, didn't you?
What's that?
Didn't I send you a shirt?
No, you didn't. Actually, this was another fighter that sent me something. I had him on the podcast as well. I just happened to be wearing it today, so
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I thought I sent you a shirt, but yeah, I plan to, man. Thanks so much, brother, for your time.
oh no, you know what? No, thank you for taking your time on here. I appreciate it, and good luck with everything. Okay.
Absolutely, brother. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.